Good morning everyone and welcome to my vlog. So this vlog was during my postnatal placement, which is during my vacation period. So I usually wake up at 4:30 in the morning so that I can catch my bus at 5 o'clock, and it's just to allow me to have enough time to get to work because it's like an hour and a half drive, well, by bus from my house to work. So on this particular day I enjoy using the stairs in the morning because it wakes me up, because I'm still quite sleepy from the long journey from home, and also just to give me that boost of energy to just get to work and I'm refreshed. And then so I was working on the 6th floor, and then on this particular day we do the toilet rolling thing. They call it therapy. For me it's not therapeutic in any way, shape or form, because I'll be too worried about making sure that the toilet rolls are folded and neat. The whole perfectionist vibe goes on there. And then after that I usually check the emergency trolley. We just do it to just make sure that everything is working, especially our defibrillator, and also need to make sure that all the equipment is there, like your cardiac tables or your cardiac board. They need to make sure that all the drugs are there. There's quite a few. And then also you need to make sure that they're not expired, and if they are, then you need to replace all the stuff. There's usually a lot of stuff missing. I feel like the emergency trolley is the most neglected piece of equipment in the hospital, but anyway. And then I will put on my gown. These gowns are really hot because they're made of plastic, and on this particular day it was really hot, or during this placement period it was really hot. But anyway, we just need to put it on so that we can protect ourselves and the babies and the moms that we'll be taking care of. In the mornings I'm usually in charge of two things. On this particular day I was in charge of doing the immunization. So here I'm just preparing my BCG injections. This packet was showing me flames, it didn't want to open, and then the cap there is just to close the polio drops. So we give 2 polio drops to protect the baby from polio, and then I'm also going to be taking 0.05 mils of the BCG injection, and it's to protect the baby from TB. I prefer preparing it straight from the fridge, and then I put it in the cooler box so that every time I'm giving a baby I don't have to stand there drawing the injection. It also stops it from getting cool and getting warm with my hands. So if it's already prepared, it just makes the work much quicker, and also it makes the moms less nervous while they're watching me draw this injection, because they really do get nervous when I'm injecting their babies, and then just cleaning up after ourselves. And then on other mornings I'm in charge of doing the family planning. So the family plannings that we have in this particular hospital is our pediatrician, which is the 3 months or the 12 weeks one. And then there's also the implant, but as nurses in the hospital we don't give the implant. That's only in an MOU. And if the moms want the implant, which is 3 years, then they would get it with a doctor. And then the papers that are on my trolley over there, those are stats. It's just to make sure that we know who got what. And then also there's a form that we give the mom with a date for their next injection, and also just explains to them what pediatrician does. And then I just love having my things organized. I don't like clutter, and also sometimes in these containers there's like old tissues that have been used, old web cores, needles that are open, and that sort of thing. So I just like to make sure that everything is neat, cleaned, and that sort of thing. It just makes the whole process smooth and comfortable for me, because I just hate clutter and dirt. And then in this particular postnatal ward we have C-section patients. So after they come from the C-section, they'll still be under anesthetic, but also they'll be in a lot of pain. So here I was preparing the morphine, and I also mix it with ondansetron, the both injections. Some nurses want to do the morphine in one injection and the ondansetron in another injection. I just don't like injecting my patients twice. That's just double pain. So I prefer mixing both, and you can do that. They don't react with each other. So that's just how I prefer doing it, but you can separate both of them. But I just don't like, poking the patients twice. And on this particular day it was a night shift, but what happens during the day also happens in the night. But in the night things are a little quieter, and we do not have as many C-section patients, but it's pretty much the same thing. So after I gave the morphine, it needs to go into our Schedule 6 book. So this book, you need to take record of the patient that you gave it to. You need to write their folder number, the dosage, who the doctor prescribed it, and that sort of thing. So you do the same thing for your morphine, which is Schedule 6, and your tramadol, which is Schedule 5. So here I did a list of the patients that I've given tramadol to and morphine, and then we just need to make sure that we're recording it in the book. So we need to subtract what's in the storage and what has been given, because the numbers have to balance. And it's just to make sure that there's no theft in the hospital, because it does happen, because morphine and tramadol are really strong painkillers, so they can get stolen. During my lunchtime, during the day shift, I was resting. I was really tired. It does happen that I just need that 15-minute power nap during my lunch just to help me get through the day. And I love working in this hospital. Like, it's got such a gorgeous view. You've got the sea on the one side, and then on the other side you've got like this gorgeous mall, waterfront mall, or VNA waterfront mall, and it's beautiful. I just love sitting by this window and just speaking to my patients while I'm looking at it. And this was the end of the day, me walking down the stairs because I was late to catch my bus. There's usually one bus left after my shift, so if I miss that, I'm stranded. So I had to make sure that I catch it. But pretty much this was the vlog.
So that was how postnatal was for me. There's definitely a lot more stuff I could have shown you guys, but hospital policy and all that jazz. But I really hope you guys have quite a good understanding of what happens in the postnatal ward. So I've written down about 5 or 6 things that I just want to highlight about the whole postnatal experience, and then at the end I'm going to give you the overall rating of how I found postnatal and whether I would work in the postnatal once I'm a registered nurse and that jazz. So the very first thing is there's a lot of postpartum hemorrhages or PPHs that happen. It's not like an everyday thing, but they're a lot more common than I thought they would be. Because remember, I'm coming from an MOU, so I was used to having, I think we had a PPH for the period that I was there for almost a month. We only had a PPH once or twice, but then when I was now at a high risk facility, we had it about 3 or 4 times. So it's almost double what it was at an MOU. I mean, which makes sense because at an MOU, it's low risk patients, it's patients that are quite stable, I guess, whereas in a high risk facility, it's a lot more common for them to have complications. So that I was not expecting. And the other thing with that is at a high risk facility, a lot of things they wait for the doctor to do, which no shade to the doctors, but I was just so used to how it is in an MOU, because at an MOU, if there's a PPH, you're rubbing the tummy, there's a sister that's putting up the drip, there's a sister that's mixing the the oxytocin is getting put up, whereas in the hospital the only thing that we did, I was rubbing the tummy and I also removed the cloths that were left in, but the fluids they were only put up when the doctor arrived. When the doctor arrived, then they had to write up misoprostol, which is pills that you put in the rectum to just help the uterus contract and that sort of thing. So I thought the whole process was a little bit slower than it is in an MOU, but I mean, in an MOU, you don't really get a lot of complications, and when it happens, things need to move quickly because you don't have as many facilities in case something happens. So I guess that could be the differences in the way that things were done, but I was so used to the way MOUs are so fast that when I got to the high-risk facility, it was so slow. I was just really, this is disappointing, but I was really excited that I actually got to fully immerse myself into that whole PPH because I was the one who was rubbing the tummy. Then once the doctor arrived, I was the one who removed the clots out of them vagina and all of that jazz. So that was really exciting, and it was just after our exam, so literally everything was still fresh in my mind. I could say all the steps and stuff, so that was exciting. But obviously in emergency it's not meant to be exciting, but yeah. Anyway, the second thing is I found it very hard counseling moms who either had a miscarriage all they had is stillbirth. So, a miscarriage is when, either the baby doesn't come to full term and then they actually die while they're still in the tummy, and then, there's bleeding and all that jazz. And then you've got a stillbirth. So a stillbirth can... No, there's two types. So you've got stillbirth and you've got neonatal death. Neonatal death is when you start pushing it. You can feel the heartbeat, you can feel the baby move, and then once they're out, then they die. That's a neonatal birth. But a stillbirth is while the baby's still in the tummy, no heart rate can be felt, the mom doesn't feel the baby moving, and we know that the baby is ultimately dead, and you're just delivering that baby so that the baby can come out. And I was not the one delivering because I was in the postnatal ward, but I can just imagine what it's like being present and asking this woman to push where they fully know that this baby has not made it. And there was a mom where it was a 9-month baby, guys, and it was still, but like when she came to our ward, she was distraught, she was hysterical, she was just... I found it so difficult. And most of these patients, they get put in like a secluded area where they're by themselves, which I understand, because obviously don't want them to feel bad with the other moms and stuff like that. But also the thing of them being by themselves alone is just it's horrible. And also with the way visiting hours works, and I think with that one mom, it was a weekend, so no visitors were allowed to come, and she was by herself. Her family was calling her, and she was blue ticking everyone. So that whole counseling thing, I found it very hard for me. Like you can only say so much to comfort a person, but once they've lost the baby, and so that part is definitely one of the things that you just need to get yourself, you mentally, you need to get yourself around that, because you yourself might become really emotional with it, and then you and your patient, you're both crying. It just becomes a whole lot of problems. But yeah, it's definitely difficult, and it makes the career very bittersweet, because on the one end you're celebrating with the moms that are given birth, and you're counseling them about breastfeeding, and you've got this gorgeous human in your hands, and then on the other side it's a mom who doesn't have that. It's just really horrible, and I hated it so much. But it's one of those things that you just have to power through. But it's definitely one of the difficult parts of being in a postnatal ward. Moving to a more positive side, it's very interesting to see how different moms interact with their kids. So what I've noticed now, this is obviously not a one size fits all, but like I've noticed with the new moms, they love talking to their kids. Like, obviously every mom, but the new moms, they literally have full-on conversations with their kids. Like, oh my gosh, you're gonna love your dad. Oh my gosh, you look like your father. And they're holding this human. It's like the most adorable thing ever. And then on the other hand, the old moms, I guess again, like moms that have kids, especially those that have like more than 2 kids, they're literally like in the zone, like they know everything that's happening. There are a few exceptions where, with a new child, they're a bit nervous about what's going to happen, because obviously with every new child, it's different. It's not going to be the same. But there's some that, they've got this, I'm a professional type of vibe about them, where they just know everything that's happening, and then they're busy sort of being like mentors to the new moms, showing them how to feed and that sort of thing. So the whole camaraderie that happens between the moms is just really beautiful, and most of them end up living with friends, because at our postnatal ward with a lot of moms that had like elective C-sections, so they all knew one another, that they were all coming for a C-section. So they're like, oh my gosh, you made it, okay, what child did you get? After they meet one another in the postnatal ward after their C-section and stuff like that, and then they exchange numbers when they get discharged. It's so cute to see. So that definitely has been fun and interesting to see. The very last thing you need to know is moms need a lot of health education regarding their own health, their own recovery, especially if they're a C-section, if they've got a wound, or even if they had a normal vaginal delivery. There's a lot of changes that are going to be happening. They're going to feel weird sensations in their stomach as the uterus is going back to its normal size. In your breasts, they're larger than usual. Sometimes they are sore, they're leaking everywhere and that sort of thing. And then also they're worried about their baby. How do you take care of the umbilical cord? When it comes to jaundice curious, they want to know everything. So with new moms, or with just moms in general, in the postnatal ward, you're going to be giving a lot of health education. So you need to read up on random things that have to do with moms and new babies. Simple things like how often must you clean the umbilical cord, or why must you burp the baby, and that sort of thing. So general things about baby, how to take care of a newborn, how often should you wash the baby, are these spots normal. Moms are going to ask you the most random things, so you need to read up a lot on how to take care of a new mom and her new baby, and just that whole postpartum period. And moving forward as the baby's growing, they're going to ask a lot of questions about registering the baby for birth, the hormone phase, that whole thing. So you need to get yourself educated and know a lot of things about why certain things happen within the postnatal ward. And because they're going to ask a lot of questions, they're quite anxious, so the only way we can help them to just calm down, to enjoy the whole experience of being a mom, is by empowering them and giving them education. They're going to need that a lot, so please make sure that you're reading up on it. If you go on my Instagram, I recently made a few posts about the most frequently asked questions that I get within the postnatal ward, so you can save that for future reference when you need to educate your moms, just to give you a heads up on the things that you can expect. So definitely go on my Instagram at Silibaziso Mupereki so you can go see that. But definitely you need to make sure that you're educating your moms. So that was the whole experience that I had within the postnatal ward. So how would I rate it? I would definitely rate it an 8 out of 10. It's not a full 10 because I feel like I was missing that action of the labor ward. Like the labor ward, it's so exciting, especially when babies are popping up here and there. I just missed that. So definitely that would have made it a lot more exciting. But overall, it's an amazing experience. I love teaching new moms, and learning with them about new babies and all that jazz. But I just miss that whole process of helping the mom push and bringing this life into this world. But overall, it's a great place to work in if you love kids, if you love moms, if you love education, if you just love all things midwifery. Definitely postnatal ward is for you. But it's just not where I want to be full time. Maybe later on in life, or bouncing back and forth between postnatal and labor, because it's definitely interesting to see the mom move from the labor side of things and then postnatal. You see the whole progression, even moving from antenatal, labor, and postnatal. It's been really great to move antenatal and then labor and then go to postnatal. It's been a great progression of events, and I've learned to understand the steps that the moms go through and stuff like that. So that has been great. But within this whole cycle of pregnancy, labor is just the it field for me. So but yeah, overall it's been amazing, and thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this little vlog, and I'll see you next week, where I'm going to be talking about my experience in the neonatal ward. I'm really excited for that video. Until next week, Friday, 12 p.m. South African time, have an awesome day. Bye guys.